lesson, it's all about factoring perfect square trinomials. Okay, so i-define muna natin ang perfect square trinomials. Perfect square. Perfect square are numbers or expressions that are the product of a number or expression multiplied to itself. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga number na may square root. And trinomials, on the other hand, is a polynomial with 3 terms. So when we define perfect square trinomial, ito yung polynomial having 3 terms and at the same time may square root ang first term and last term, and ang middle term niya is twice the product of the first and last term. Ayan, so please take note of this standard form and the factored form of this PST. So a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, ang factored form niya ay a plus b quantity squared. And then, ang a squared minus 2ab plus b squared naman, ang factored form niya ay a minus b squared. If we take a look to the standard form, the first and last term is a perfect square, and the middle term is twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. Let's give an example. So, we are going to identify if the given trinomial is a perfect square trinomial. So, dapat, ang first and last term niya ay perfect square. And x squared and 4 are perfect square. So, what is the square root of x squared? That is x. And square root of 4 is 2. Now, the middle term should be twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. So, we are going to multiply 2 times x times 2 kasi yun yung constant. And then, the product is 4x, which is our middle term. So, ibig sabihin, this is an example of perfect square trinomial. Let's have another example. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Is this a PST? So, take a look on the first term and last term. What is the square root of 4x squared? That is 2x. And the square root of 1 is 1. The middle term should be twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. So, we are going to multiply 1 times 2x times 2, which is our constant, and that is equal to 4x, which is our middle term. Therefore, this is an example of perfect square trinomial. Magbigay naman tayo ng example ng factoring perfect square trinomial. Halimbawa, x squared plus 6x plus 9. So, unang gagawin, i-check muna natin kung PST ang given na trinomial. Dapat daw, may square root ang first term at last term. At ang middle term niya ay twice ng product ng square root ng first term and last term. Now, let's check. The square root of x squared and square root of 9 is x and 3. Times natin to sa 2, dapat ang sagot ay 6x. And that is correct. So, ibig sabihin, this is a perfect square trinomial. So, ang magiging factor niya ay x plus 3 times the quantity of x plus 3. Positive sign because the sign of the middle term is positive. Or we can write as x plus 3 quantity squared. Ibig sabihin, the factor of x squared plus 6x plus 9 is the quantity of x plus 3 squared. Magbigay pa tayo ng isa pang halimbawa. What is the factor of x squared plus 2xy plus y squared? So, una, i-check muna natin kung siya ay isang perfect square trinomial. And that is true. Ibig sabihin, ang magiging factor niya ay x plus y times the quantity of x plus y. Positive dahil positive ang sign ng ating middle term. The factor of x squared plus 2xy plus y squared is the quantity of x plus y squared. Nagbigay pa tayo ng isa pang halimbawa. What is the factor of 9x squared minus 12x plus 4? First step is to check if this given is a perfect square trinomial. Find the square root of 9x squared and 4. and that is 3x and 2. Multiply this by 2, the answer is 12x, which is our middle term. Now, the factor of this given polynomial is 3x minus 2 times the quantity of 3x minus 2. Negative because the sign of the middle term is negative. Therefore, the factor is 3x minus 2 quantity squared. How about this example? What is the factor of 2x squared minus 8x plus 8? So, una, ginagawa natin, i-check natin kung perfect square trinomial ba siya. And if we take a look to the first term and last term, it is not a perfect square. So, the second step is to look for its GCMF. So, let's find the GCMF of this given trinomial. 2, 8, and 8, the GCF is 2. So, divide lang natin to get the remaining factor, and that is x squared minus 4x plus 4. Now, take a look at this. As you can see, the first term and the last term has a square root. And the middle term is twice the product of the square root of the first and last term. So, it means this is a perfect square trinomial. Thus, the factored form of the given is 2 quantity x plus 2 squared. 2 is the GCMF, so don't forget to write it as the factor. Let's have the last example. What is the factor of 3x squared plus 6x plus 3? Una, tingnan muna natin ang first term at ang last term. Since the first term and the last term has no square root, it is not following the pattern for perfect square. So, tingnan muna natin kung meron naman siyang GCMF. And yes, meron siyang GCMF, and that is 3. I-divide lang natin to get the remaining factor, and that is x squared plus 2x plus 1. Let's take a look at this remaining factor. Tingnan natin kung siya ba ay isang perfect square trinomial. And kung makikita natin, merong square root ang first and last term niya. And that is x and 1. And if we multiply this by 2, that is the middle term. Therefore, this is a perfect square trinomial, and the factor of this given will be 3 times quantity x plus 1 squared. Always remember to include the GCF or GCMF as part of your answer. In summing up, the first step is to identify if the given has GCMF and identify if the given is a perfect square trinomial. Then follow the pattern for perfect square trinomial.
Isip plus equals madali.